going live, going live, going live, going live, and then it says, this hangout is live. I love it when it says that. Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is SkyWire, and I'm so delighted to have you all here today. Whether you're listening for the first time on our replay, you're in for a treat as always. We take our conversations really serious. Well, really seriously. That doesn't really work, does it? We take our conversations seriously, and they're profound and they're exciting and they change my life each and every week. So our conversations are always about listening and how you take listening, you're listening deeper and deeper, and you apply it to all parts of your life, all stages of life, within you and around you. And today we're going to be talking about good enough. So before we get on with the show, let's say hi to Dave.
Hey, hi everyone. My name's Dave Moore. I'm in England, and as Marilyn said, it goes live, but it could be that it also says live, not just live. It could be saying live. So this is an hour that you're going to live and remember.
Wow, good. That was very good. And Margarita.
Yay! You remember my name. I feel so valued.
How are you today?
Yes. I had a mishap this morning. Missed my show with half an hour, and we did it, but I can still not understand why I missed the time, you know? Like, I probably is not good enough to pay attention to these things, you know? And then in the end, we discussed afterwards, I interviewed Rose Betts today about the unpredictability of future, and we illustrated that kind of quite well. And then she says at the end in the green room that maybe, she was happy that her internet was perfect the entire show, because she had some problem with that sometimes quite often. And then I said to her, well, maybe I was late because that's when the channel was open for us to talk. And so I'm gratefully accepting that.
That's beautiful. Thank you. And those are the kinds of things that listening walks you through. Hand in hand, listening walks you through surrendering, making sense of things. I don't have an answer to this, but maybe the answer will come because you have experience with other answers coming. So today, thank you for opening up with that. So today our conversation is about good enough. And people have trouble being who they are sometimes, and what does it mean to be accepting and good enough and everything around us. So Margarita, I'd love you to start, because when we were preparing to go live, you started sharing something with us, and I think it would be a wonderful story for you to begin with, because we want to hear how this is going. So talk to us about good enough.
Yeah, I was like, that was an experience of the dark night of the souls, one of those nights. Emotional, of course, and I felt like useless. I mean, it was a relationship issue with arguments and stuff like that. I still love this man and my husband, ex-husband, but at that time it was so challenging because we just had come to Canada and new changes, and everything was sort of it's when you go through some kind of barrier and come to a completely new place and you don't see that you can find your place there, or that the coffee doesn't taste the same, and you got uprooted from your home country and culture, and then on top of it having some kind of arguments and stuff. I just thought, well, I've had it. And then so somehow at 3 o'clock in the morning, I mean, what happened was that I just had to get out of the house. And I was across the road. There was a a little creek. I don't know, it was deep enough to be drowned in, but at least there were beavers there. Anyway, so I was heading there because I couldn't stand in the house because it was an apartment. It was congested and really narrow. I just needed to go out. So I did, and then as I came walking there, and I was thinking, I'm not really gonna do anything wrong here. But I had to get out and go walk. But I headed there, and then I crossed the road, and whoops, there is that police car with 2 angel policemen in it. And of course, I was crying. I was like, blah, right, in the middle of the night, and then. Of course, then they lecture me a little bit. I had to sit in the back of the car, and you know, I knew that they were angels. They came there to help me, and then one of them was, you know, they talked with me for maybe 10 minutes or something like that, and then they inquired why I was there, and this area is very dangerous, and you could be whatever, and all right. So I heard them, and then one guy says to the other policeman, said, come on, come on. You know, he had a $2 bill, or $1 bill, I think, in his hand, and then he wanted him to give also a $2 another bill to give me. So he gave me the $2. And then it drove me to right near the police station, which was walking distance from where I live. And then there was a coffee shop there. So they said, okay, go in there and have coffee and a donut and calm down, and then you can walk home. And if you have any problem, you can go into the police station. And so then... From going to jump in this river, which I didn't really want to do, but I couldn't see any other way because I was feeling so lousy. I'm now sitting in a coffee shop, and then there was a space there. I sat down, and the guy next to me, he must have been an angel coach because he coached me for 2 hours. He was supporting me and listened to me, and I had my coffee and a donut that I got gifted from the 2 police angels. And then he said something about, well, you know, you can ask for help, you know. You can actually ask for help. And so this guy said that, well, there is like some counseling you can do. You could call this number, whatever, in the morning. I don't know. I mean, these were 3 angels that helped me that night. So after an hour, whatever long time it took, I sort of felt confident, and then I walked about 25 minutes back home, and went in and went to bed. And then in the next day, I just called this counselor, whatever. That was the wrong number, by the way. But then I got the idea I have to actually have some kind of help, and then I found somebody that both of us went to, and it solved the problem, you know. But when you feel like this horrible thing that you really want to end your life, it's a horrid place. Because the feelings inside is so horrible, and it's like killing you, and you want to end it. You want to end it. And so this little switch with these 3, the police angels and the other angel in the coffee store, shifted my life. Shifted my life totally. That was in 1989. And since then, I have been on a healing journey for sure, you know?
You know, that's a beautiful story, Margarita. And the thing is about this notion, this idea, this picture of good enough. You have to be willing, obviously, to listen, taking in information, connecting the information with who you with things you know, with things you, and it's listening to all of those things, your history, you know, your wants, your desires, your, you know, it's like you're listening for that little bit of comfort, that spark of comfort, of loving, caring about yourself, even if you don't identify what it is. But listening brings all those pieces together into one way of experiencing yourself. And there's a comment here that I'd like to put up. So BV, and I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's been here multiple times, so I want to thank you for this. And he said, in my view, we are good when our energy, information, and time are all in sync. So
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, I agree with Vivek there. You know, he has insights about that.
So what do you
It's
think
like
about that?
if your energy is out of sorts, you have this frantic feeling inside, and it actually can kill you or get you have a heart attack. And so I got to experience that, and what my takeaway from that experience was, it opened my life as a healer, and it collapsed or broke through my porcelain shield that I had around me. You know, like that. I am strong. I am best. I am this. Whatever my ego has said to me. It broke that all apart. So that was the greatest gift I could get.
Yes. And when you talk about these things, and you talk about what Vivi, I guess, is talking about.
Vivekananda.
Yes. Oh, thank you. Vivek is talking about, and what Margarita is talking about, and what we're going to hear from Dave in a second. Good enough, when your energy and all of the information and everything is out of sync, good enough is not enough. But when you listen and you work on your life and you listen past it, good enough, when you listen to the in syncness, good enough is good enough. It's good enough. And that's where we want to go. We want to go from just not good enough to it's good enough. It's good. It's like food. It may not be scalding, but it's hot enough. It may not be sweet as you like it, but it's sweet enough. It's good enough. It's acceptable. It's good for now. I'm good for now. We're good for now. The direction I'm going, it may not be where I want to end up, but it's good enough. It's I'm on the path. So that's what we want to listen for that stuff. Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a hell of a story that Margarita just shared.
Yes.
You know, I know that people who follow me know about a car crash I had 2009, nearly killed me. Made me just reevaluate things a little bit more. And I don't dwell on it, but I know that my life changed at that time, at that period of time. Everything I thought was important, I realized wasn't. Everything that I thought wasn't important was. And it's just a complete shift. But these complete shifts of mind don't mean that your mind completely shifts. You know, you can have a completely shift of mind and perception and belief about things, but it only takes a slight change to make that happen. It's like it's no different from a ship leaving Portsmouth in the UK to travel to New York. But a minor 1 degree shift on that compass means that that ship is going to end up in Buenos Aires. Because it's just such a magnificent shift of mind that makes you understand and reevaluate things. And the belief system that we have sometimes, you know, these are self-imposed limiting beliefs that we have. But also we think they're unique to us. But they're not. They're unique to everybody. And everybody has got something like this. When we think, you know, I'm not going to do this because I think I'm not good enough. I'm not going to talk to that person because they're not going to be interested in me. I'm not going to, you know, go to this event because I don't think I'm going to fit in. You're the only person in the world thinking that. Really? No, you're not. Everybody thinks like that sometimes. So it's not unique to us. What is unique is that some people, like Margarita, like you, Marilyn, I'm sure, like myself, and like everybody watching, you get something in your life that happens that makes you change that belief. And you realize that I don't need to be good enough. I just need to be good enough for me. And when you're comfortable and at home with that, and you are congruent with your thoughts and your actions and the way you are, it's not like what you're doing is different to what you're saying, and what you're saying is completely different to what you're looking like. That's where it's wrong. But when you've got everything, people talk about having balance in your life. Your life must be balanced. Um, if you look at a set of scales, the old style set of scales where you've got a bar on a bar like this, and it comes down to two little bowls, and it's equal on both sides, and it's balanced. When you look at that, and you look at that balance, there's not a lot happening there. It's just balanced. That's all it is. Is that what you want to be? I don't think so. I think what we're looking for is harmony. Harmony is when everything is in line, everything is in congruency with your thoughts, your actions, your mindset, what you do, how you behave, the words you use, the ideas you get, they are all in harmony with each other. And when you've got a person in harmony with themselves and then they become in harmony with somebody else, it's not long before you've got a choir of people. But you never get that unless you've got harmony. If you're in harmony with yourself, you're in harmony with what's around you, you're in harmony with what you're doing, and you're in harmony with the people that you love, the people that you care for, then you've got it. You don't need to worry about whether or not you're good enough to do something. Just do it. You don't need to worry about whether or not you're good enough to go somewhere, good enough to talk to somebody, good enough to have that car, good enough to have this success. Am I worthy of it? Am I enough for this? To hell with that. You are good enough to have it. And the only person stopping you is you.
So, my thoughts about what some things that Dave said in relationship to what Margarita was saying. So this notion of good enough, and we constantly want to define what we're doing based on listening, or define listening based on whatever we're experiencing. This idea of good enough is good enough for me has nothing to do with anybody out there. So when, I guess, Margarita, when you realized that you mattered, you heard that you mattered, it made more of a difference in those final seconds. You heard these angels. You mattered more than you didn't matter.
That's for sure. It's like, I mean, I had no choice. These guys picked me up in the car, in the police car, and drove me to that place, and then the other guy took care of me, so I couldn't escape. I had no choice. I couldn't, you know.
No.
And so I
don't know.
was,
Yeah.
you know, but then I realized it as I was sitting there talking with that other guy, and so I could walk home by myself. You know, because the brain is getting so inundated with negativity that you can't see clearly. You can't see clearly. And I agree with Vivek, who says that you know, the energy inside should be aligned. That's the best way of saying it, I think.
So, and I want to put up what Viveka has recently posted, so we all can take a look at that. And the interesting thing is, there's a piece that comes with feeling good enough. There's a peace that comes with that, and it really does take observing your life, being the fly on your wall, listening to who you are, where you are, when you are, how you are, who you are, how it affects this, how it affects that, how you show up. It takes listening to all of that, connecting with your heart to find that good enough is not less than. Good enough is great. So let me pull up this next comment. So thank you for saying all of this, Vivica. A very heartwarming life experience you stated there, Margarita. It is heartwarming because you are here to tell us that, rather than being found down the river.
Yay!
So, you know, and I think it's part of feeling good enough is the openness and the vulnerability that we have to share these life lessons to the world that we know is making a difference to somebody, or if not, or we know it is, regardless of whether there's a face attached to the other end or not. And being strong enough to acknowledge these things, Margarita, Dave, it's huge.
Well, it takes a lot of guts to actually tell a story like that, but I've practiced it. I wrote it down in my book that I published before, and so I've trained myself to actually share these stories, and then I get so much feedback from these, and people take that inside of their life and says, yeah, I can do it too. I can do it too. And I want to say about good enough is I am good. Kick that enough word out. I am good.
How do you how do you know, or how did you get to feeling good? How did you get there?
I decided.
What did you do?
I decided to actually show the positive side of things instead of getting my brain inundated with negative chemicals who just eroded my brain and was going to send me into the river. So, like, why am I here? Because I had to learn that. That was I realized at that time. And then there's, I learned everything. I learned many things after that, and I'm certainly not end of my lessons, the course here on the earth. I have lots more to do, I can tell you. But I try to embrace it because I decided way back that, okay, I'm going to see it in the positive view or on the objective view, but I'm not going to see the negativity of it because that is like a cloud coming over the whole body, and then I can't see anything.
So what did you hear before you made the decision?
Something like stop it, something like stop this, stop what you're doing. I think this was kind of the word. The other one was method, which I had another experience of method. And then, okay, method. It's like a ricocheting tennis ball with the word method on it. Whipped across in my head and cleared all the negativities, like cleaning the smoke. Isn't that fun?
Yeah. So we get different messages, right? And we get them through, through sight, through sound. Sometimes I think I hear somebody calling my name. And I look around and nobody's here but me. So we get these messages, these signs all over the place, and tuning into them. Really opening up our ears, opening up our senses, opening up our energy. All of the energy is everything. So opening it up to connect ourselves through, which is listening to these things, gives us that information. Watching yourself, observing. Margarita, you said you made the decision. You know,
Yeah,
you
definitely you have to commit to it. You have to say, this is the end of it. I had enough. Now I'm not going to have that anymore. And then you have to go to the very edge, because otherwise you can drop down in the abyss, or put your wings on and fly and soar over the abyss. You know?
Yes, absolutely. What about you, Dave? When did you know? What point did you hear that you were good and that you? I mean, enough doesn't mean I'm full. So when did you know that you were?
I think it's something that you get, but you just cannot pinpoint majority of the time when it happened. I think it's an ongoing process that you pick up, messages that are internal dialogue. I think it's, again, as I said, a limiting belief that we have, and we start to believe it. We engage with it, and once we start engaging with something, we give it legs. We give it being. We give it strength to the point when we could put a saddle on it and ride it into town. It's that strong in our mind that we feel that because we have partly created this in our head and this loop going around, telling us all of this rubbish that we're filling our heads with. The issue is that the voice in our head that's going all the time doing this is our voice. We hear ourselves. That voice is our voice. And we never lie to ourselves, do we?
Yeah, right.
Do we? Yeah, we do. And the thing is, we don't know that we lie to ourselves sometimes. Once we get that, once we understand that we confuse ourselves, that we tell ourselves what we think we want to hear, and we're not always telling ourselves the truth, we must understand that we create some of this. And again, slightly different. What we consider to be our imperfections
Okay,
are
so I got to interrupt you.
sometimes seen as
Okay.
attributes
All right.
of people.
Okay, let me interrupt
We,
you. I want you to talk personally. I want you to talk about things you heard in your life about Dave
well,
that
I heard
that
things
led you
like,
to believe it. Go ahead.
I heard things like, why would I do this? Can I do this? Should I do this? And it got to the point where I wasn't doing anything. I was just existing in life, and a lot of people are. But I personally was just getting up, going to work, coming home, going to bed. I saw a lot of other things that people were doing, and I saw a lot of things that people were achieving, and I saw a lot of people with lives that I thought, that should be my life. How did they get my life? That's my life. That's not yours. That's mine. Why have I got this life? And the last thing I wanted was to be a person who thought, if only, or what if? And it got me to the point where I suddenly realized that I can do anything I want, and everybody can do anything they want. They just need to make that first step towards it. And as soon as I realized that, I started doing what I wanted to do, that I was no good at, but I got good at. It was because I wanted to do it. And I'd done it in a way, I've done this, like my business and that, I got it this way through, not by trial and error, but by error and doing it differently. It's because I didn't have a roadmap, I didn't have a formula, I just knew I wanted to do it. But if I had remained the way I was, which was, I'd like to do that, but I wish I could do that, but, or I would have done that, but, and we put the but up here, and we need to kick butt out of our life because it stops us. And this message that we have in our life saying, you're okay where you are. Don't upset anything. You know, you're fine. But you might not be good enough to do this. You might not be good enough to do that. Why are you doing? And surrounding yourself with people who compound that is the worst thing that we can do, because not only are we telling ourselves, I had people in my life saying, well, why don't you get a proper job? What's a proper job? You know, a real, I don't want a job. I don't want to work. I don't work for a living. I do what I enjoy for a living. And people say, well, you work long hours. I don't work long hours. I do what I enjoy for long hours. I don't work. I haven't worked a day in my life for the last 20 years. But I would have done. I'd be working for somebody else doing something that I didn't really want to do for an amount of money that I didn't really want, because I wanted more. Living somewhere where I didn't want to live and being with somebody who, you know, I didn't want to be with. Like I could have done that, but it got to a point where I had to say, no, I've got to change this. I don't know when exactly it was, but I knew that I had a tipping point. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I went over it, I couldn't go back up and go back down. I just kept going. And I think people do that eventually, some sooner than others. But it comes to a point when you do say that word that Margarita didn't want us to use. It comes a point when you do say, enough. No more. That's it. End of story. I'm doing what I want.
You know, I love what you're both saying, and I think this is so extraordinary. And then we have another comment that I want to put up, but because when you listen to all of these messages, and the messages are, somebody else is doing this, I would like to do that. It's like, that smells good. I'd like to eat that. Those are all messages. Those are all sounds that we hear. And when you make a decision, well, you're pushed into a decision, as Margarita said. She didn't have a choice. They held her in the car. They wouldn't give her a choice. Regardless, that's a message. When you listen deep enough, or listen deep, you're going to hear those messages where I don't have a choice. It's do or die, and I don't want to die. You know, things will appear. And as you approach your being good, you're on a path, as Dave was saying, you feel good when you're on your chosen path. You begin to unravel this notion of I'm not good enough to I am good, because you're where you belong. And when you're where you belong and you listen, things start. There are people along the way of that path that will give you a helping hand. And as you piece those pieces together, you begin to realize I am where I am supposed to be. People appear. Things happen. You know, somebody shares a little something. You get a message. You get a gift. You get an award. You know, you get a new client. You get a new business opportunity. You know, your husband or your wife looks at you, or your partner looks at you and gives you a lovely comment. Your children look at you. Those are the things that build on this notion of, I've arrived. I'm not, you know, I want more, or I want additional things, but I can feel good in my own skin. And so these are the life lessons that you learn, whether it takes you a day, a week, a year, a month, 10 years. I do things in my life that I can't even imagine that I'm doing. I'm writing a book. I can't imagine writing a book. I can imagine speaking. I cannot imagine writing a book. But that's how I'm being guided. And so, I mean, I'm listening and I'm going to do it. There are places I find myself, there's no way that I would have thought I would find myself in these places. How would I be in a room of all these really brilliant people? But I'm finding myself there. So we take stock. Let's. I want to put up this. This is okay. So I don't know if anybody. Do you each have the comment stuff up? Anybody besides me? Okay.
No, I can get it on the phone,
okay.
but I can't.
Okay. Well, maybe you go ahead, will you, and read this one? Could you do
Me,
that?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's Vivek again, and he says, "We will be great when everything in our life is good enough. Why should we allow someone else to determine whether we are good enough or not? It is none of their business. We are here on planet Earth for a reason. We need to experience it ourselves and then share it. Live our lives to the fullest as determined by ourselves, not by anyone else, not by religion, not by society, not by bank managers, not by peers, but by yourself. Thank you for sharing it, Margarita."
Would you like to invite him in here? You are Vivica. You are more than welcome to come in here and join us if you like. Um,
Now,
if,
he's
if,
watched this for weeks and he's never
yeah.
joined it. I don't know
Well,
why. He's not...
would you give him the link? And if he would like to come in and have this
Yeah.
conversation with us,
Sure.
that I would be
So,
honored to have him come in here and be here with us. I think
Vivek
that would
was
be
on
wonderful.
our show. Heidi's in my show. We have had him there.
Oh,
He
good.
is beautiful.
Yeah. I love beautiful men. uh, Margarita. So where are you now with what we're talking about?
Oh, I'm here. I'm right here in the present moment, and I think that if somebody who is listening and have some kind of problem in their life, ask themselves, why do I have this problem, and what is the message this problem gives me? Because that brings you outside of the problem so that you can actually see, oh, why do I have this problem? What's the message for me here? And then you can listen into that message. And as I said, with that story I had, it was I had a thick shield around my ego that needed to be crushed and then freed my soul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's Vivica says he can't come in right now, but I would like him to know that he is welcome anytime. So whenever you're available, just let us know. There's a wonderful book, and I'm sure maybe I've mentioned it before. It's called Broken Open. And it's about how sometimes we have to be broken to get open. Our hearts have to be broken. Our spirit has to be broken. We have to be knocked to our knees sometimes. Maybe we don't have to go down all the way to our knees, but maybe some people have to go to their knees. Some people have to go more than their knees. I hope not. I hope people listen to this show and don't, but I can't control somebody else's journey to being open, right? We can't do that. But I would love people to know that just like what we're saying, anything is possible. And if good is good for me, and good is good for Dave, and good is good for Margarita, there is good for everybody, right? Everybody, even in the state of things of what's going on in the world today. Dave?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, being good allows you to be great. You can take good and improve it. As long as you know you have the ability to be good, you are good. There is nothing wrong with you.
Maybe
A lot
good
of
is
people,
great.
well, it depends entirely on what you want, but you have to understand that what you want isn't always what you get. It comes dressed as something else. You have to sometimes unwrap it, but that is really sometimes what it is that you need, rather than what you want. We all, if you want to have, if you want to travel, you don't need a Maserati to do that. If you need shelter, you don't need a 10-bedroom house, but you might want it. If you want it, then go and get it. You're allowed to have it. It won't come to you by praying for it. It won't come to you by wishing for it. It will come to you by you getting off your butt and doing something about it to get it and taking some form of action to do it. But you can have it. It's not that you're not worthy enough to have it. It's not that you're not good enough to have it. There is nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. You are not, less than anyone else. You have the ability and you have the presence to do it. And there is really nothing wrong with anybody. We just need to understand that it's our mindsets that do this, our limiting belief systems that we have. We have faults. Who doesn't? I have faults. Who doesn't?
Yay.
We have fears. Who doesn't? We have concerns. Who doesn't? Your imperfections can be seen as attributes by other people. You think there's something wrong? Other people see that as an attribute of yours. You think, oh, why did I say that? I keep saying things that I shouldn't, and everybody else is going, I'm so glad he said that. It's your perception of that you keep telling yourself this rubbish, that you're not good enough to do this, you shouldn't be doing this. And like you said, Marilyn, when you think, I would like to do that, don't like to do it, go and do it. You can do it. There's nothing about I'd like to do it. That is like another version of maybe. Maybe I could do that. Maybe isn't going to get it done. Try. That isn't going to get it done. Try. If I said to you, I'll try and be online at 8 o'clock this evening, I'm not going to be there. I've already given myself a get-out clause, right? Try, but, luck, hope, none of it works. It's there to keep you where you are right now. It's like, I'll do that then. It's procrastination. A definition of a procrastinator is someone who cannot take now for an answer. That's all it is. We are delaying and delaying. Just do it. You're worthy of it. You can.
We're worthy of it. I mean, I look at people sometimes and I'll say, have you committed a murder? Have you committed a murder? If you haven't, I mean, what's the worst thing that you could do or be? What's the worst thing? What is the worst thing inside of us that tells us that we can't do this, can't do that? Vivica says, we have to break open our ego. What is our ego squeezing us to stay whole, squeezing us into, that we won't be able to succeed, we won't be good enough, we won't be able to maintain success, we won't be able to do all of those things? What's the worst thing that will happen if I do something and it doesn't work? Well, you got a message, you learn something, you tweak it, you go do something else. We all have to do the same thing. We all have to go through the same processes. So I'd love to talk about what we do. Like how do we listen ourselves into being great, being good? What do we do? What are the steps into doing that? Margarita, go ahead. Go ahead. Well, Margarita had her hand up.
Yeah,
right? Go.
First step is decide to do it. Second step is act it. Third step is feel good about that you did start it, act on it, even if it didn't work out. Try something else. So that's the 4-step method for actually succeeding in your life.
Mm-hmm. And these steps that Margarita and then Dave's going to add, I know, are things that you listen into being. You listen as you watch other people. Wow, look how they did that. I could try that. Or let me take one step of what they did and try that and do that. Trying is, I agree with Dave. There's no such thing as trying, because when you are trying, that's what doing is. So just give yourself the credit. I think gratitude, being grateful for every step that you make, for hearing, even if you haven't taken the step yet, the awareness, the hearing of the awareness of taking that step. Give yourself credit for that. Anything you can give yourself credit for, and sharing this with other people, like we're doing here. mean, Margarita opened up her soul. Dave opened up his soul. When you open up, we're no different.
Mm.
Nobody's going to clobber Margarita for saying what she did. Nobody's going to stand here and say, how could you do such a thing? Oh my God. Not highly intelligent, evolved people growing and learning are going to do that. People of love are not going to do that. Surround yourself with people of love. They will be forgiving. They will be, wow, they will feel for you. Dave.
Well, you attract
Okay.
these people to us,
Yes,
right?
yes,
You
yes.
feel, you have the energy field is widening, and you feel it's like a magnetic force, not particularly to me, but to anyone who says, I don't want to be negative. I'm going to choose to smile in spite of everything, make it a laugh, make it funny, Like this morning when I saw the wood was like the smoke went through the house all night, and I had a horrible headache in the morning for that, and I was late. Okay, so somebody else might have said that, well, I have to cancel it now. But I didn't even know. And then the Google Plus with the new settings on Google Plus, couldn't find the event, right? And still I managed it because I just said, okay, well, we'll try this, and then it works.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Mm-hmm.
Giving up.
Not giving up.
I think the Dalai Lama said, never give up.
Nope. And just because, you know what? Just because we are good. Just because we're breathing, we're here, we're part of the human race. Just because. That's the only thing. Just because. And Viveka says, Yoda says, you do or you do not. There is no try, from Star Wars. So yes, love that. So Dave, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to say about the steps, but I mean, with Margarita talking about negativity and positivity in like, to all intents and purposes, what was in there. I know if there were two people, one positive and one negative, I know who everybody gravitates towards. Because they will gravitate towards a person who is positive and sees things, deals with them, rather than the negative person who has got the world on their shoulders about everything, from, I don't know, bumping their knee that morning, to the car not starting, to getting a diagnosis from a doctor that's not really good. Whatever level it is, from 1 to 100, they feel equally bad about each one. And the only time you ever engage with those people is when you're sitting there thinking, they say there's always somebody worse off than you. It's him. I'm going to go over there and laugh. That's the only time that you would ever do it. You wouldn't involve yourself with people like that. You gravitate towards the ones who are dealing with stuff, doing stuff, getting joy and juice out of life. The thing that when we decide we're going to do something, when we take that leap of faith once and once only, because that's a leap of faith once. When we've done it once, we can do it again. And when we change the mindset and we say, right, I'm going to go and do that. And when it works, we're successful. But we see that success beforehand. Now, success itself has 3 S's in it. The first S is that you have to see it. If you cannot see yourself being successful at something, you will not be successful at it. You have to see it and you have to believe it. If somebody says, I can't see myself doing that in my wildest dreams, wow. If you can't see it in your wildest dreams, how are you going to see it in reality? So you've got to be able to see it, because if all you've got after those wildest dreams is nightmares that you didn't do it. So you've got to be able to see it. You've got to also, the second S is something that many people fail to do. They see it, but the second S is the one that they fail on. They just do not implement it, and that is start it. You've got to start it. You've got to start
And the third S is a sense of humor.
But you've got to start some small action at least that puts you on the path to doing it. Because if you don't start it, it will never start. And if you don't start it, you will never start to be successful. You've got to take some form of action. The third S is probably the most difficult one of all, and that is you have to sustain it. You have to keep going, because once you start something, it's going to roll anyway. You've got to be on it. You've got to be in it. You've got to be driving it, and you've got to sustain the momentum. Those three S's, they're the most important three S's that I ever come up with. You know, about ideas, just see it, start it, sustain it.
And I would
It's
add,
all about focusing.
I would say, add successes. Have a sense of humor, because really and truly, this is, I mean, this is funny. This is fun. It's fun. It's all fun. It's like, it's just fun giving, doing it and tweaking it and, oh, that didn't work out. So burning the, look, we're getting ready for Thanksgiving here in the States. And it's traditional for people, a lot of people, well, I don't know, maybe it isn't traditional, but a lot of people cook. I am the most excited woman in the world because I ain't cooking. And there's a lot of people around me cooking. And my children aren't cooking. We've decided to go out and eat. And I have it on my forehead and I have it across here. I'm not cooking. I'm not shopping. I'm not cleaning. I'm not preparing. I'm not putting it away. I'm not doing any of those things. There are people around me say, oh, really? I say, yeah, because this year I'm about the quality of the time that I get to spend with my children. I don't have to cook. I can have a whole week of work and play, and I don't have to interrupt anything to do it. And I'm thrilled, even though people who I really know and care about and love, they're all cooking. And I am standing for not cooking. And I'm thrilled about it. I'm happy with my decision. So I'm having a sense of humor about it because I'm thrilled. Somebody else is cooking. I can drink, eat, and be merry, and I don't have to cook and clean it up. And I can sit there for hours and be happy, and I don't have to do all the work. I'm thrilled. So having a sense of humor about life, regardless of what other people are doing, what fits in with your puzzle. And just that was a beautiful thing about success, Dave. Beautiful. Seeing it, sustaining it. That's so important. How do you sustain it?
Well, I mean, on a daily basis, you just got to be fixed on completing it. And then once it's completed, it just continues and it's still part of you. But to get to a point where it works, but realizing that if it doesn't work, it's not that you've failed. There's nothing wrong with failing on something, but there's everything wrong with being a failure. And failures are the people who fail and never do it again because they give up. They are a failure. It's just like being broke means you haven't got any money on you at the moment. But being poor is a condition. So we've all been broke. We've all been in a situation where we haven't got any money on us, but poor is different. That is a condition. Failure is when you've given up. And if you've given up, you're never going to start. So you're in this loop. You've got to start it or see it, start it and sustain it. And have a sense of humor, as you said at the end. But the thing with it is that sustaining it is keeping your focus on your end result. You want to be able to do that. Well, until you've done it, you don't give up. It's like the saying, if you are wondering whether the reason you are on Earth is over, the answer is if you're still alive, it's not.
Right.
The reason you're here is to give meaning to things. The reason you're here is to give meaning to other people. But the reason you're here is to give meaning to yourself, about who you are. The two most important events. One, when you're born, and the other event is when you find out why. And you find out why when you do what you want to do and you bring joy and laughter and fun to everybody, including yourself.
And that all takes listening, doesn't it? It takes listening, to listen to how you sustain something and when you're thrown off and how you get back on. Listening is what you listen to and you hear, or you hear the smile on somebody's face. You hear, the connection that people make, maybe because of something you said or did or thought about or that you put out there. And that's how you find your place. So,
Can I just say that
yeah.
the sustaining thing is, one of the best definitions of it is that the easiest way to sustain anything and to keep going is you ride the horse in the direction it's going. You don't turn it round, you don't stop it, you don't change course, you ride a horse in the direction it's going and you keep on the saddle. And if you fall off, you get back on.
Yeah, somebody once said to me, Marilyn, and this was a funky time in my life, and she said, Marilyn, do you know what a tightrope is in when somebody walks a tightrope in like the circus? She said to me, Marilyn, just be like that. Walk the rope, don't look left, don't look right, don't look down, just walk the rope. And at the end of the rope, you're seeing your mission, your vision, your goal, whatever it is. Don't look down, just walk straight. Margarita. Yeah.
For sure, that's what it is. And I mean, I can give you an example of in my life. There is something called NaNoWriMo, which is a novel in a month. And I'm part of a forum that have a course for writers. And so I decided I'm going to write a book in a month. And then it started November 1. And on Tuesday, I written all the chapters in my book, and I started the second draft of it. I contacted the publishing options, and I'm thinking that I am actually going to have my book ready in the end of this month. And this is a challenge. I share it now publicly, and yeah. So you
Do you
can
know
be
how fantastic that is?
Yes,
it's so cool. And I share it with you because I want you to know that I'm not going to give up. I'm going to do it however it goes, and it's going to be, I have an event in November 10, and I decided, in Toronto, I'm going to have a printed version of it in some form and bring it.
That's great.
I'll tell you how fantastic that is. You're going to write a book in a month, yeah?
Yeah.
There are millions and millions of people around the world who can't even read a book in a month. That's how fantastic it is at what you're doing.
It's hilarious. And then, you know all the other authors there, they say, yay, go for it. And it's very supportive. But it's fun. It's so fun.
Yeah.
And so
the thing is with that as well, sorry to interrupt you, but the thing is with that, what you're doing is that you see interviews of authors and they say, oh, it takes a year to put the book together, and then I go through about 15 rewrites and all this, you see, wow. Yeah, but that's for them. And then another one will say, it takes me 4 months. I write it, I don't plot it out, I write this in. Well, that's different to that, so who do I believe? You believe what works for you, what you can do, not what anyone else is. You don't care what it takes anybody else to do, how long it takes them. You do it the way you want to do it and the way you can do it.
Here's a woman.
Fabulous.
Okay, so it is fabulous, and so and we're almost about out of time. But here's a woman who has said that she is writing a book. She's saying she's writing a book in a month, and she's also been somebody who wrote a book in how many years? 10 years? How long did it take you to write that?
It was 12 years at least for the first book. Yeah.
Okay. So I've heard her say this, right? So this is how I run my life. I heard her say this, and I tuck it away. And then I hear other people say whatever they say, and I tuck it away. And then I gather it all, and I go, or I don't even think about it. It's just it's in my beingness. It's in my cells, and I just say, okay, I can write a book, and however long it takes me. Because, and maybe I don't focus on that she wrote a book in 12 years, or she's writing a book in 30 days. I've gathered all this information as I've gone through my life. I've heard of this, and it's just tucked away. And then I go to do something, and there's my permission. I give myself permission because of all that's come before it. And so, anyway, we're out of time again. Go ahead, Dave. Do you have something to say?
No, I just
Okay.
knocked my phone over.
Okay. So love these. I love these conversations. I mean, they are just so rewarding and so fabulous. And for those of you that are listening, please come back again. Comment to us. If you're listening to the show for the first time, comment to us. There's always a way to find us and comment and share your thoughts. You got an idea? You want to be in here with us? Let us know so we can. So the world can listen deeper and just listen, right? If the world would just listen to each other. Anyway, final words, anybody?
Oh,
Dave,
no,
final
I
word?
think we've said it all. I think, just find time, be with us.
Yeah, that's it. Margarita, final?
Never give up. Never give up.
Never. Just get to the next level, listen to the next level, listen for the door that opens, listen for the message. Never give up. Never. With that, we will see you very soon. Thank you all for being here, and happy holidays and everything else from wherever you are. We love you. Bye.
Happy holidays, America.
Yes. And everybody needs a more thankfulness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bye.